Howdy there, people. How y'all doing today, man? Oh my god. I got some bad news, man. Because things are goddamn hectic, I ain't got no makeup on. Got no lipstick, no foundation. Oh my god, this ain't looking too good for me. So, for the likes of Rhonda, you there? Julie, oh, Julie, you better be there, man. And Cleopatra, I'm sorry, but you'll have to be putting up with this for today. Because, as I said, there ain't no makeup in town, so tough shit there. Anyway, it appears my nose has got a little bit bigger. Where did that come from? I don't know. Anyway, I think today we need to take a look at the latest body language analysis of Candice Cooley, Dylan Round's mother. Now, last time I did it, I was looking at the East Idaho News Channel, where she was being interviewed, and it was kind of in a formal setting. We saw her body language, we compared, we contrasted to previous interviews, and, you know, if you want to take notes from that, from the last one was, there was a lack of emotion at times, holding back, I guess, maybe suffering inside but not showing it externally. Some people thought there was negatives, like there was like controlling, being centre of attention, the one always talking whilst the father sits back. So there's all different kinds of things we interpreted from that as a whole. Now, we're going to do that again with the most recent interview from the Fox News report. I think at first we're just going to read out an article, okay, from Fox News in relation to that recent investigation by Box Elder County on Jim's, property, his land of the burnt out trailer. Read through that, see if there's any additional information, anything important that stands out, and then I'll show you some clips of Candice talking and we'll break it down in terms of body language. And also, if you're still sticking around by the end of the video, depending how this video goes, I'm probably going to share with you other crimes of people within Montello or who were born in Montello and elsewhere now. Just get an idea of any other crimes, any other key individuals that stand out, any links or ties. And as we're going through this, not just the body language, but also the criminals we might take a look at, in the chat, share your opinions, your thoughts on all this, your reactions to it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you interpret differently? If so, feel free to say. And also feel free to talk about anything else in between about the case or anything random, it doesn't matter, okay? So let's get into the article and begin reading. Okay, so here we are on the Fox News Utah report of Dylan Rounds. Bear in mind the last report we looked at was by ABC4 Utah, okay? So the title of this one reads, Family of Missing Dylan Rounds Pushing for Change in Lead Investigators by Emily Tenser. Box Elder County, Utah. After a criminal search came up short, the family of Dylan Rounds is demanding change in who handles their son's case. Okay, so as it's referring to criminal search, they mean Jim Brenner's property, as he's the main suspect at the moment. Okay. The 19-year-old from Idaho was last heard from over Memorial Day weekend and last seen near his property in Lucin, Utah. Just as a little backstory, he's not 19 years old. He's actually 20 years old. So this information, some of it is outdated, which isn't great. It talks about Memorial Day weekend. Is that when the barbecue happened and they all gathered or something? There's talks about that, but I've not really heard much, okay? Let me know in the comments section or the chat about the Memorial Day. What events took place? Were they influential? Did Dylan participate? Was Jim there? Was Don there? Was Ed Harshberger there? Was Larry Rounds there? and so on, okay? And it says, last seen near his property in Lucin, Utah. So that's to do with, I guess, making the phone call to his grandmother about taking the vehicle to the grain shed, but not calling back after that. So that's taking that in mind. Let's continue reading. Dylan's family is fed up with the investigators on his case. And then there's a quote there by Candice, I think, let somebody with bigger guns handle it because it's just not going anywhere, said Candice Cooley, Dylan's mum. Yeah, well, that makes sense. And then it goes on to read, Dylan's parents are asking the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office to relinquish lead on the case and hand it over to the state or FBI. That would make sense, likes of the FBI or the state, bigger resources, maybe more manpower, more of a serious outlook. I'm not saying that there's no corruption at all. I'm sure there will be corruption within those groups here and there, but they probably have a better chance of being more practical and solving the case or making a few leads compared to this Box Elder County who are more local. I know, we'll just briefly get into the discussion, okay, whilst we're here. You can leave your thoughts in the chat as well. So the other talks are with Box Elder County and like the likes of local police departments is there could be dodgy themselves, like not following through with all the procedures, skipping things, not being honest, maybe being biased. If there are suspicions from others that believe that Box Elder County or locals are actually in on it with some of the criminals, not directly associated with the Dylan Rounds case, but maybe just as a whole within the area, from like drug trafficking, so maybe physical crimes and stuff like that. It might be more related to the drugs because of the money making involved. So criminals might be paying off the police to keep quiet. You'll have a few bent coppers who might be working on both sides of the law and so on. So that with them being involved in the Dylan Rounds case, if the police do come across a suspect, it could be Jim, could be Chase Venstra, Robert Aviles. They might be seen as innocent, classified as innocent, because these police know these guys from the past, being involved with other stuff, and because the police assisted with them in some way back then, because they've got caught up in this case, whether they're guilty or not, they might be pardoned and excused because they've got some kind of connection, some kind of tie agreement going on. I said that's just a theory, but that's based off from what other people have said, that local police could be biased and could be working with the criminals. And if those criminals just so happen to get caught up in the Dylan Rounds case, they might not be treated correctly, okay? So they might get away with something. Let me know what you think about all of that. I do think, though, when you've got other police, other departments further out who come in, visit the area, no biasness because they don't know the people within the area, so they just go through with the normal procedures and do what needs to be done. That's the way I see it. The FBI have kind of worked within the case so far, and like with Candice, like the odd agent coming out, interviewing or receiving an interview from Don Hatley, okay, about the whole situation with the guns being given them by Jim Brenner and then handing them in and stuff like that, leading to Jim's arrest, being as a felon, holding guns in his trailer and so on, okay? But also working with Candice, what was it now? Informing her about certain information within the case. What was it now? Was it Don? Not Don. Jim, when Jim had his court trial, previously, a few months ago, one of the FBI agents reached out to Candice to tell her what was going on and what it was all about and stuff. So we've known the FBI have already, assisted in some way, not full on, but a little bit with Candice. And Candice hasn't spoken bad about the FBI, so I assume they must be doing okay. So if they've got a good reputation at the moment in her books, then if they do
step in completely, then that could help. But this is the next thing we need to briefly talk about, okay, before we continue on with the article. And you can give your thoughts down below. I know some people already have, but just see what other people say, okay? So with time, the mother is getting frustrated, makes sense, and so are other people, other family members, friends, and even just the general public that watch, and maybe even some investigators and YouTubers standing around watching it all just collapsing on itself, okay? So that could actually deter some people, put people off, even the family losing hope. If the family are losing hope due to the way the case has been treated, then there's a higher chance that the general public, some of them, are probably going to lose complete hope, focus, and attention and just move on to the next mystery or the next case. Because, not with everyone though, some people can have a low attention retention span, so they just move on and on and on. Just look at TikTok, for example. People who are on there, fuck me. Damn, 0.1 second attention span. It's not as bad like that on YouTube. But what I'm getting at is there are other cases ongoing, other missing people near the area and afar. And the more higher profile, more talked about ones, like that female, I keep forgetting her name. Does it begin with a K or something? I was going to say koala, that's a fucking animal. You know him, Kylie Rodri? I don't know her name, to be honest, because I keep forgetting. But she's got blonde hair, blue eyes, and is a female, and I think 16 years old. So with those characteristics and features, it makes them more important in a sense because of their age. If they're younger, they're classified as more important, more serious, high profile, but they need to be found and so on. More support by general public because they'll think, oh, that younger person's missing. So that's, just psychologically how people respond emotionally, connect stronger, especially maybe people that might have a family, so they'll be able to connect and relate more and put more emotion and investment into a missing person case like that. Now, Dylan Rounds is young as well, so people can relate to him or feel emotionally connected to him. That's why this whole case has been talked about kind of quite a bit, at least on YouTube, okay? So that's why quite a few people have gathered to that. But because of the state it's in, you compare that to the Kylie Rodri or whoever she's called case, where there's press conferences, I guess stronger focus, the operations are better. I don't know about the exact coverage on YouTube though, how hands-on that is, okay? I mean, with the Dylan Rounds one, there's only so much going on. So it kind of encourages general public to step in, investigators, independent ones. So it's more hands-on publicly. So I don't know if it's like that with the female one, but regardless, people are switching sides and moving on to her instead because it's more ongoing and more proactive in terms of progression being made. So leave your thoughts down below. Do you think that's what's exactly happening? And do you think that will 100% happen, like everyone moves, jumps ships and moves on to that case and forgets about Dylan because of the way the cops, the police department have handled it? It's kind of discredited the case, made it appear a bit of a joke, less serious, less important because it's not being done properly. Leave your thoughts down below in the chat, okay? Reality is, as long as there is material to cover, analyse, debunk, read over, correct, whatever it is, that sort of stuff, exactly what I've been doing since 2020, okay? As long as there's material, I'll keep on going, covering the Dylan Rounds case. If you're thinking about repetitivity, that does not matter at all. You need to look back at my Kenny Veach videos. The amount of times I repeated certain words, lines, examples, events, dates, times, whatever it is, all that. Why? Well, repetition is important to highlight a certain point, a certain word. Also, it's good to refer back to things because not everybody follows the case from start to finish. So as we're going along, I'll bring up points back and forth. To the people that watch regularly or just drop in and are experts and know-it-alls, they might be a bit frustrated, but I try and make the videos in such a format that it can re-jog people's memories, but it can also let newer viewers understand where we're at. So that's why I do the repetition. So yeah, aside from the repetition, keep on going, keep on covering the case, because as I said, if you've got the noise, it keeps the case alive in some way or another. It might not be, on a global massive scale, but it keeps it alive at least. Something is better than nothing. And whilst the other established, bigger, popular channels and stuff still cover it here and there, I can imagine that for sure. But if they do completely jump ship, I will still remain on this case until, if everything ran out dry and there was absolutely nothing left to talk about or cover, then there's not much I can do there. But you get the procedure, don't you, in terms of constantly covering it, because we've seen already with a bit of noise, it can trigger a response from the right people with the right resources and material. It might even, if you create noise and continue the case talking about it, it might actually encourage people to come back. You know what I'm saying? With the Kenny Veach one, because they're consistently doing it, eventually some people returned back and thought, oh, I'll have a look. And then newer people came in and said, oh, do you know what? Because I'm near the area, I'll have a little look. And, there's times where some people said, you do some good videos, Andrew. If there's any locations you want me to take a look at in the desert, just let me know. And, in my mind, it was like, well, that's very good of them to say that. I don't believe I'm in a position to act as a commander and say, go here, go there, because that's not right. It shouldn't be all talk and no action. So that's why I don't talk that much in that sense. If people have got their own ideas and own exploration plans, then they should do that first. Okay. But kind of going off subject, well, not off subject, but off the topic of this article. But you get what I'm saying, the way the case is going, the Dylan Rounds one, how it's been handled and how it could put people off, but it's not put me off at all, okay? So let's continue reading from Cooley claims the county released important clues that were meant to stay confidential. She also said she hasn't heard from the sheriffs in over 2 months. I think it was the 6th of June the last time of contact. So where it says, just make sure I didn't say anything below. Okay. So where it says claims the county released important clues, which should have been confidential, that's talking about the Name Us website, the missing person website, which had Dylan's profile set up, and the information was added on saying the key fob was returned back to the residence by an unknown person. Now, we saw that. Maybe not all of you did, but some of us saw it and was a bit confused. It was taken away from the site because it's confidential. It was a mistake uploading it, but at the time we didn't know that, so we assumed, it was probably just an error. Kind of like a delay from what Candice previously said back then, which was misinterpreted, I guess. But now we know that the key fob was returned by an unknown person, and it shouldn't have been talked about publicly. Okay, so that's what it's meaning in this article. Okay, it's a bit vague, but hopefully that explains that. Okay, so where are we now? There's another quote here by Candice. We did not even know that Box Elder issued a search warrant for Elko to execute on the Brenner property in Montello, and we've been screaming to get that done, she said. So Box Elder and Elko are two different ones, aren't they? So I don't know if she means both are incompetent or just one. I think it's just Box Elder County she's criticising. Elko's okay, I guess. You correct me if I'm wrong. Cooley is talking about James Brenner, a Nevada man the county named as a suspect. What's that? Cooley is talking about James Brenner, a Nevada man the county named as a suspect. I don't understand how that's worded. He's currently on trial for federal firearm charges. True. And they said it was in September, his court date, but I'm sure they said they've delayed it to October. Does anyone know about that? If you do know, feel free to let me know, because I originally saw in an article it was September, but now it's been pushed back to October, I heard somewhere. it does make you think, why is there that delay? Why they're pushing it back? Is it because progress has been made within the Dylan Rounds case and have not brought it to light yet? It's too soon. I remember me originally saying that, oh, because it was in September, maybe they're just awaiting for certain evidence and processing. But then some people said it's too soon, though, that date, that court date, if it's tied with evidence being found within the investigation. But then again, if they're pushing it back and delaying it by a month or two, then, that could explain something, I guess. I don't know. What did it say next? On Monday, the Elko County Sheriff's Office and the Box Elder Sheriff's Office and Search and Rescue obtained a search warrant for a parcel of land in Nevada owned by James Brenner. Investigators used cadaver dogs, drones, and archaeological excavation procedures, but no evidence was found. Yeah, we've heard and seen all that with that Facebook post. And another quote by Cooley. You get your hopes up so high that they're going to find something, but at this point, we're, 2.5 months into this, said Cooley. Fox 13 News visited the sheriff's department in hopes of getting more information. The office has yet to comment on the investigation since Dylan's disappearance. The office told Fox 13 News that no one was available, nor was the spokesperson or the press person behind that department. So what do you think, chat? Why are they keeping so quiet? Is it one of two things? They're keeping quiet because they just can't share everything with people, even the family. They have found important evidence, leads and ties, but they can't share it because it might ruin the investigation. So that they just have to keep quiet. And it might be interpreted as a bad thing, but they've got to follow procedures. Do you think it's that? Or could it be that Box Elder County are so embarrassed by their own performance and they can't comment on it because they don't want to? They know they're going to get bad press, criticism, their reputation is going to plummet and go in a negative direction. So is that why? Let me know what you think in the chat. I mean, the way they've handled the investigation, not great. The way they're responding to the aftermath or the backlash isn't great either. They're not answering, they're keeping quiet. And it's one of those things, like when it comes to drama, anywhere, even on YouTube, if you keep quiet, you could be seen as suspicious, laying low. Are you hiding something? You're trying not to cause a scene, you're trying to reduce the heat level. But then again, if you talk out, speak out immediately, you could be accused of being defensive, and then you are hiding something and that defense mechanism's kicking in because you're showing that aggression, which means you're hiding something. You don't like people touching a certain nerve because they're touching the truth. So there's many different ways you can interpret it, but in this case, they are the authority, people look up to them, so they should be setting an example, and they're not at the moment. And even when news channels try and reach out, they're not even answering there. So all in all, not great. I'll read the last few lines. Another quote by Candice. I don't believe they have the resources, and I don't believe they're utilising the resources that they could take, she said. The FBI is already assisting on the case. There you go. But because they're not the lead investigators, there's not much they can do. That makes sense. That does make sense. Box Elder County owes us the decency to tell us what is going on, said by Cooley. So that's the end of that article and the news report as a whole. But yeah, it makes sense. It checks out the end bit where it says the FBI is assisting, but they're not the lead investigators, so there's not much they can do. That's the important part. If the FBI can become the LE, lead investigators. Wait, does LE mean lead investigators? People have said that to me. People have said LE means lead investigators. I always thought LE meant law enforcement, because if it was lead investigators, shouldn't it be LI, not LE? Let me know what you think in the chat down below. It's just a small thing, but it can cause confusion at times. I've always thought LE meant law enforcement, But people are saying lead investigator, so that's a bit stupid, that. But, you know, you look at the FBI, pretty high profile, I guess, been involved in serious cases and big events in the world, or within America, I guess. So for them to be the main people, main guys in a Dylan Rouse case, that could really shape things up, maybe clear up confusion. You know, you think about it in this way. They could bring back the seriousness, importance, and significance of the Dylan Rouse case. I mean, this is a negative way of looking at it, but I think it's the reality. Obviously, there's more than one missing person out there, and they should all be treated equally with importance and stuff, but that's not how it always works. Reality is, at times, it's a tug of war. Whose is more important? Who deserves more time, attention, and focus? Is it Dylan? Is it Aiden? Or is it that blonde female? So there can be biasness involved, maybe even money, I don't know. So it can get a bit messy. So, and if you've got the likes, as I said, you've got the likes of the Dylan Rouse case, the way that's being handled, if it's being treated poorly, it doesn't seem like any leads or any progress is being made. It could be wiped off and just treated as a cold case. No, not enough progress. We'll put you to the back of the list, and all these other missing people can be put forwards. But I guess if Candice was able to get the Box Elder County to step down, I know people said that can't be done, but if the Box Elder County do it themselves, which I don't know if they're going to be awkward or not. What do you think, chat? Do you think Box Elder County would step down from the investigation, or are they going to be awkward and stick around and just cause more trouble? Because from the looks of it, the FBI can't overpower Box Elder County. It just doesn't seem like it can happen, because it's not happened yet, so I don't think it ever will. So really, the FBI need to be able to become the lead investigators for the case to get back on track, I guess. I mean, I don't know the exact success rate, but they might make more progress. I mean, all of this should definitely have been done like a month or two ago back then, but maybe there wasn't enough dysfunction to be able to put a case forward in complaints made by the family. I don't know. Let me know what you think about all that. So with all that in mind, we've got an idea of how the case is going. It's kind of got to a dead end, you could call it, but, you know, publicly it's got to a dead end. But on a side note, behind closed doors, not literally talking, you got the likes of Lance and Ty doing their own thing still. Some people doing call-ins still, asking about. That still helps in a way. It might not be as full on, or it might only do so much, but there's still activity, so that's good. That's always good. So yeah, I guess just keep on going as we are. Obviously, it sounds like I'm ending the video, but I'm not. Hold on, do not click off yet. No, don't click off yet. We're now going to move on to Candice Cooley herself. So there might be a bit of, well, there will be repeated lines, because what I read out then is some of what you're going to hear next, okay? I'm just going to cut it down just so it's on Candice speaking, okay? Just going to play the clip through of her talking, and then I'll give my thoughts and opinions on how she appears and acts, and then we can talk through that, okay? Let me show you the clip now.
Let somebody with bigger guns handle it, because it's just not going anywhere. We're right back to where we were in the beginning. We got some help there for a little bit, and now we're just lost. We did not even know that Box Elder issued a search warrant for Elko to execute on the Brenner property in Montello, and we have been screaming to get that done. You know, you get your hopes up so high that they're going to find something, but at this point, we're what, 2.5 months into this? I don't believe they have the resources, and I don't believe they're utilizing the resources that they could take. You owe us the decency to tell us what is going on.
Okay, so you might interpret it differently to how I do. You can leave your thoughts in the chat as we go along, okay? What do you think about Candice now? Has there been a change? Is she different to how she was previously? or is it still like a baseline consistency? Does she appear suspicious or normal? Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to share with you my thoughts right now. So key points, eye contact. In this case, her eye contact is fixed with the camera. Now, it's probably different on this occasion. You know, you look at previous interviews, in-person interviews, she tends to, make eye contact with the interviewer, but also look around whilst talking. But I guess when you're talking to a camera, a webcam, or whatever, when you're not in the presence of someone, you're going to be looking directly forwards, making more contact, because that's where the person is, that's where the camera is, and that's where you need to be looking. So, you know, it doesn't focus as much on with confidence this time than if you're in the presence of someone face to face. So you can't really look too deep into that, okay? In terms of the blinking on this occasion, I guess she was blinking the same. It didn't seem too erratic or any different to previous. As for movement, less movement with her head and upper body. In previous interviews, more to do with the in-person ones, like on the East Idaho News Channel. She's kind of like moving around a little bit, looking around with the head. It could be nervousness. It could be she's restless, stressed, anything like that because of what's going on and the environment she's in, and it's like on the spot. Maybe it's a bit more relaxing and calming when it's an informal interview, or it's not an in-person one and it's like towards a webcam. It's easier to do. I mean, you got to look at me when I'm talking. Okay, some people might say, oh, you talk a lot or you talk well. Yeah, here I do. Because what am I talking to? A camera. Is anyone else around? No. If people were, completely different story, completely different opposite. So that's just a reality of how things are, okay? So overall though, less movement. So what could you interpret from that? She's more comfortable, she's more calm, or is it because she's past that point? You might be wondering, what does that mean? Well, like how people can be emotional at times, when so much bad stuff happen, it can get to the point where the individual stops reacting or stops crying and actually just starts being plain and numb to it. No emotion, no reaction, nothing, because it's happened that much, that extreme, that it's caused more damage than it's worth. So that emotion has gone, but at the cost of it, it won't come back. It's kind of like that thing where they've gotten used to it, if that makes sense. And that's the worst case to be in, for it to just be internalized and accepted. That's not good. So it could be seen as that because of how the case has gone, the length of time and the incompetence. She might have got to that point of past caring, not to do with Dylan, but just to do with the procedures, because it's that ridiculous how it's gone. I mean, other people will jump in hard and say, whoa, 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 the police are doing well, they're doing the best they can, etc., etc. Well, there might be, but, you know, I'm just doing it from different points of views, okay? Don't get your pants in a twist, or whatever you're wearing, or whatever not you're wearing. Don't get in a twist, okay? Untangle, whatever, and breathe. But yeah, less movement compared to what I've previously seen. Do you agree? She's quite still, just like facial expressions, I guess, as well. Moving on to her voice and pitch. I guess her pitch is as normal as it has been. Doesn't really seem any different. She didn't have a warble in her voice this time. That upsetness doesn't seem to be there. And I know people might say it was never there to begin with, but it was at times. She just held it in. Times where her voice started going a bit off. It sounded a bit of a warble inside because she was getting upset and trying to hold it back. That happened 1 or 2 occasions in the interviews, okay? We saw that. This time round, that's gone. You know, that sadness isn't there in this, interview, okay? But though, her voice seemed a bit more strained, the way she was pronouncing certain words, how she was talking, her pace. Then again, it's that strained, that frustration, that, oh, God's sake, like that. So you saw that and you can hear that in the voice, but you can also see it in the facial expressions. This time round, no laughing, no joking. You might be wondering, was she like that in the first place? Well,
in previous interviews, like the East Idaho one, she was kind of laughing a little bit, whether that be laughing at the ridiculousness of a claim, of a theory, a conspiracy. She did laughing and this is stupid, man, like that. Well, this time it's just like that. Whereas previously it was like, oh, I hope something happens, or haha, this is ridiculous, haha. Now it's like, haha, and talking in a normal voice. So once again, previous emotions, whether they're good or bad, much enough or not, they have been stripped away now as well. So more things are being taken, drained out of her. When you thought from the start she was emotionless and not much was going on there, you know, anything that was there in other ways has been taken away now. So like, what are you left with now when you view Candice because of what's going on? You've got to take that into mind as well. Moving on to the main one, lacking expression and emotion. You see the face, kind of a straight face, and that's about it. I said no laughing, no smiling, no crying, just nothing. It's just like, well, it's kind of like how I'm talking right now in a way, but more in her voice. Aside from the expressions, more in her voice, you can sense that frustration, that kind of like pissed offness inside, I guess. Anything else? Looks frustrated, past that point. That's what I was saying. So whatever emotions were there beforehand, they've either been dug very deep and repressed way back in there, so it's not showing now, or it's literally been stripped out, like the hope, the positivity has been stripped out. Any of that humour or kind of like joking around a bit, being hopeful, has been taken away because of this final nail in the coffin. That's the way I see it. Piece it all together, it's like, how could I come? I can't really think of an example on the spot, but it's like a very rough general thing of things can happen, okay? You experience this, you experience that. Because of the consistency of it, it doesn't change, it doesn't get any better, there isn't any new developments, there's nothing else happening, and it's like, oh, well, this is not good. And it might be setback after setback, roadblock, or just repetition of negative encounter with someone over again, and then eventually it's like, fuck this shit, it's got that ridiculous past reality that it's not even real anymore, and yet this is reality, to the point of, what am I supposed to think now? How am I supposed to feel? What is left of me? That's how it can appear in her case, because of how everything's gone on. If there wasn't as much incompetence, then maybe things would have been different. And this is the other thing you got to take in mind, the effect it can have on different people, the roller coaster effect. One extreme to another can cause issues. And that can apply anytime, any place, anywhere, with anyone in other situations as well, not just this, where one extreme thing happens, very good, but then suddenly it's a very extreme negative thing. Kind of like in my own experiences where something good might happen, but then it's instantly and quickly replaced with a negative, and it happens consistently to the point where I'm like, I can't get excited or I can't get too excited, because if I do, from past experience, a negative thing happens. People can say that's superstition, but if that's what's happened, and it's happened enough, to the point where you know about it and you can predict it and get it right even when experimenting, that's the adaptation. Not always for the best, but sometimes it's necessary. In Candice Cooley's case, it's like it's just happened naturally, that adaptation. No choice but to think that way. No choice to appear that way because of how things have gone on. So, as I was saying, in other situations with other people, an extreme event happens, can cause shockwaves throughout, or it can, as she said, can create a lot of hope. But obviously, when it creates a lot of hope, when you have a lot of hope, there's a lot of pressure building, and there's a lot of pressure riding on that one thing underway. High expectation. So when things don't work out, don't perform, then you're left very disappointed. A good example would be a video game such as Battlefield. The way it's been going, this series, absolute shit. Battlefield 5, supposed to be about World War II, but you would never have known with the type of characters and individuals included. You know what I'm saying? Typical political correctness, pandering to everyone and everything, so everyone feels included. Nice, comfortable, warm, rainbow, flickery, sparkly, sprinkly. Wee, let's have a look fun and hold hands together. It's like, what the fuck has gone on with that game? It's supposed to be serious. It's supposed to be gritty, rough, dark, deep, action. Let's fucking mess shit up. Destruction, chaos. No, it's got to be all nice and sparkly with all the variety of people. So that caused a lot of disappointment, okay? Like Dylan Round's case, it's gone backwards. It's like, where do we go now? What's coming next? A new Battlefield game comes out, more mess, more of a disaster, and now the new one's coming out at a certain point and they're saying, this will be the one. This will clear it up. It's returning back to its roots. Boots on ground, serious, no political correctness, this and that. And some people build hope on that and think, this is it. This is where it's at. This will solve everything. You get all the hopes up, all the expectations. It finally is released and the end result is a big disappointment. Roller coaster effect. And that's like how it is with the Dylan Brown's case. There could be more roller coasters ahead. Who knows? Is there anything else I've missed out on? I don't think so. I mean, just a general vague observation is, she does appear emotionless. Regardless of the situation, that's how she seems to appear, and that's how she has appeared throughout, for most part of it. There's been the odd occasion, though, as said, where it looked like she was holding back the tears, which is natural and normal, especially if it's in real life, face-to-face, in the public eye. Doesn't want to show that, which is normal. That's fine, understandable. But when you look at this interview, as shown, compared to the previous ones, it seems like she's been reduced to, not much because of how things have gone. And I don't know if things will get worse, if things happen. But then again, like, if they are able to get new people in to investigate, to explore and stuff, then maybe she might become a bit more hopeful again. But this is the thing. Yeah, this is the thing. Whilst developments could happen or new people step in, as time drags on, let's say the right people do step in let's say a month's time, the FBI takes control, or some rogue investigator, or the family finally decide to hire a proper investigator who's got all the equipment, very promising, high profile, whatever. Everyone's probably rejoiced and happy. Hey, this is it, this is good. And it's that reminder there in the back of one's mind, subconscious mind, that all this should have been done months ago. Does it mean as much now positively as it would have felt back then? Is it too late? That's the dark question to ask. Whilst lots of good things could happen in solving the case, or the correct people now coming in, let's say, maybe it's taken too long. So it kind of tarnishes that positivity slightly. Like if it happened right at the start, when there was more chances, more hope of Dylan being alive, at least from the general public point of view, and the right people stepped in, then it might have had a bit more of a positive impact. I don't know if it will now. Just like with video games, Battlefield, whilst it's been shit for so long, last good game was probably maybe 2016, kind of. 2013 was the last best game. And ever since, it's been disappointment after disappointment. So when Battlefield does finally get it right with their product and returns back to how it used to be, is it too late? Have people gone past that point of caring? Like, a darker one would be if, no, I won't mention this one, but it's that idea of, if it goes on too long, a person could turn into a psychopath. That point past caring because too little, too late, that sort of thing. That's the concept what I'm trying to talk about. And within a case like this, that's how it seems to be. Is there anything else to bring up? Let's just go onto the YouTube video of that news report and just see what the comments say.
see other people's thoughts.
Right, so the first comment by Maria said, "This is sad, but humans need to remember they are not the only ones. These things take time." So I don't know what she means by that exactly. Whether it to be patient, there is a process. You need to take things slow. But then again, you could counter that point and say, well, it's gone on for 2 months now and not much progression has been made. So I think enough patience has been around. And even with Candice, she's been patient enough since the last time of contact with the face-to-face communication with the police was like 6th of June. So, you can't really put that point across. Unless Maria means in terms of there are other missing people out there, don't forget that. Maybe she means that. I don't know, it's just the way it was worded. Below it says, "Candice, follow your heart and just know we are being blessed behind you." Okay. Sammy said, "Why did the mom agree to let her young son live out in that moonscape with transients and ex-cons? As for the authorities, what else can be done?" So, it's this thing, would this comment and would people make this comment if Dylan was 25, 26 years of age or older? You know what I'm saying? Now, Dylan was already an adult, technically. I'm correct in saying that, right? 19 years old, already an adult, a young adult, okay? So I guess he can make his own decisions. And it was, from what was said, his passion to farm. He was determined. And I guess one way of interpreting it would be the reason why the mother let him do what he did was because she didn't want to hold him back, restrict him. So it makes sense that way. As a heat of the moment, this comment makes sense. Saying, why would you let someone go here and go there if it's so dangerous? I can understand that point of view. If the area is notorious for it being dangerous, then it's like, why would you let someone go there? If you care, why send them there, or why allow them? Why not let them go elsewhere where it's safer? That would make sense as well. I understand that, but it depends if they were aware of the area and the crime rates. Was Dylan aware of that? Was the mother aware? Or did they not know? Leave your thoughts in the chat. If they did know, if they were aware, or if at least the mother was aware and Dylan wasn't, the mother should have said, hey, why not go elsewhere, or go here where it's safer? Now, the only other counterpoint would be, is what Candice said previously in the East Idaho News Channel, that in Idaho, elsewhere in Idaho, you couldn't buy land of that size. I don't know if it's the size itself or the cost of that size. It wasn't practical, it wouldn't work. But Lucin, Utah was the perfect place for that land and the size of it, and I guess the price too. So that's, I guess, one of the factors to why she allowed him to go there. But still, if it's a dangerous area, you should be cautious, I guess, and maybe bring up the points beforehand. Let me know what you think anyway. Below that says, yes, hand it over to the FBI. Below that, the most likely explanation is that he is in the dirt pile next to where his boots were found. Has it been examined carefully? The heat inside those piles would make his body decay quickly. But what about the bones, though? They would be still there, right? So, Cal, why is she acting like this is their only job they should be working on? Jesus, your son's not the only missing person. So what we're now seeing is that point of resistance. It's one of those things, in any situation, the moment you start complaining or appearing negative, all the positive people and general public will jump on you and start a witch hunt and just instantly criticize you. The moment you're negative, you're criticized. The moment you're realistically negative, you are classified as the villain, the bad guy. That's how it's always has been. Sometimes people are a bit too drilled on the whole positive bandwagon, okay? And same with complaining. The moment you complain, everyone has a go at you. And in this case, the way it's gone, whether the mother is dodgy or not, would you say the mother has complained excessively about the case, or is she within her right to complain because of the lack of progress made? You know what I'm saying? The way this person has left a comment is they're basically saying that the police are stretched because they are working on other cases in between as well. So they can only do so much. They're not a miracle worker. They're not Superman. I get that. But still, they could have handled things better, right? Because there is certain points and moments where the lack of communication and the transparency hasn't helped. The recklessness of them releasing certain information when they shouldn't be, which then causes confusion, potential misinformation, which turns out to be information and the truth, and then it's like, whoa. So it's not helped. There are other, groups out there. There are other authorities, companies and detectives and all that are doing multiple stuff, but they are performing at a better standard. Okay, so that's worth taking into mind as well to balance things out. But maybe this individual has been a bit resistant because they are aware that there's other missing people out there, so there's an importance with that. So that's what I'm saying. It gets to a certain point where you start seeing things emerge. Right, below that, Julia. Someone in his area is dropping the ball. Sonny. Dylan said, "Don't cry, mama. He forgives you." What? Right, that's Sonny Bunny, Sonny Honey, Sonny Wunny, Sonny. This person, I saw a comment on one of my previous videos, they were whinging and whining. Whingy, whiny wankers. Fuck off. Whingy, whiny. If you wonder why I'm spazzing out saying that word, it's because I know there's the odd person that likes me saying that word, so just for context, okay? But yeah, don't understand that comment anyway. Patrick Etienne. After criminal investigation comes up short, don't you mean fails miserably? Reply. Can you find him? Then shut up. Okay. Holly says, this is why you hire your own investigator if you're not happy. This woman is too much. Candice Cooley ought to hire her own investigator with some of that money she stole 6 years ago. The hundreds of thousands she pilfered off the cattle purchasing business. I'm not aware of that. Are you aware of that? Is that true? Did Candice steal money off a business? Let me know your thoughts down below. Because if that's true, a little bit dodgy, right? I know it's not tied to the Dylan Brown's case, but if someone's got a bit of a dodgy history, then it could repeat on itself in some way, okay? Now, the first part of Holly's comment where it says, this is why you hire your own investigator. Well, technically, they did, okay? I think it was the grandparents, though, that stepped in. But the grandparents, family anyway, hired a private investigator, Jim Terry. But through disagreement of certain theories, ideas and concepts, Candice stepped in and said, no, I'm not having this, you're fired. And that was the end of that. So they have made attempts at hiring private investigators, but it's not worked out. And maybe it's not happened since because of that lack of trust. If it's not worked out before, the expectations are low, right? Just like with the whole police department not working or performing well. With time, when that happens over and over again, you kind of lose hope and you kind of not expect anything. So, and then you might be less likely to try again or to reach out. So that could explain why there's not been any action since with hiring people. But maybe it might get to that point where Box Elder County, the way it's going, they get dropped, nobody else steps in, and then Candice might be left with no choice but to think, right, do you know what, I've got nothing to lose now, I'm going to hire somebody, someone. So that could happen. Blair Clark says, the cops in Box Elder County are overpaid and underworked. Okay. Jimmy says, this poor woman needs a handler or PR consultant. Okay. I mean, in terms of that comment, you could tie it on in terms of the the questioning of where are the press conferences? Where's the, that coverage? With the blonde-haired female who's missing, there's been press conferences with her, but not with Dylan. So why's that? Kate says Box Elder County has made so many mistakes, they just need to pass it on already so Dylan can actually be brought back home and justice is served. Yeah, I guess that's true, the case. Slup said, I thought the FBI was on it. Well, if you watch the video, they are assisting, but they're not the main investigator. Topler said, my understanding is that the FBI is assisting Box Elder County. True. They haven't taken over the case. Typically, that means they offer up forensic assistance in chasing down leads. Okay. Someone says, I can help. I don't know about that. And Bobby says, it's quite funny how Mrs. Dylan Rounds, his mother there, whoever the heck she is, has been so involved and doing so many different things. Mark my words, when this all turns up in the end, she is going to have a very high responsibility in what happened to her son. I would not be surprised if her and her husband are not directly involved, if not at least indirectly involved, in the disappearance of their son. Again, mark my words. So Bobby seems to have quite a strong opinion on that. And yeah, that's about it for the comments section of this video. So yeah, a few different comments, some criticising the mother, others criticising the police, some getting frustration externally. So range, let me know your thoughts. What do you think of that news report and the way she acted in her interview? Let me know. Do I have any predictions? I'll mention one. So whilst there is tension, there is frustration, there is resistance building in different areas, I think the next part of resistance will be a conflict, a division between two different people. The group of people who believe there is just as much importance, which has been forgotten, with other missing people out there. So basically saying, hey, okay, whilst you're focusing on Dylan, whilst you're complaining about this and that, just remember there's other people out there who are suffering the same and they're not being given the same amount of attention as Dylan. So just remember that. But then you get other people on the other side that will be saying, yeah, but the way the case has gone, it's not our fault, or it's not their fault the way they're acting, like the parents or the friends or certain investigators, YouTubers, because look at how it's being treated, being disregarded, not treated with the same importance as some of those people over there with their case, with their missing person. We're not getting press conferences. We're not getting the proper procedures done or the correct resources brought in like they are. So you can't blame us for being this way. Do you see what I'm saying? It'll be back, forth, that resistance with time. You start complaining, or you continue to complain with the way this case is going, such as like family members or friends, and then external people will come in and say, okay, yes, but just remember there's other people out there suffering, and then there'll be just, conflict between one another. And then you get the other people out just come in and say, at the end of the day, everybody's important, who's missing, everyone's suffering, it's all equally shared, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah. But, people keep referring back to that female, the current missing person. That's the trend, if you want to call it that. But, depending how it goes with her as well, if that turns out into like a cold case or a dead end, all that will happen is the trend, the focus, popularity will then just move on to somebody else and then somebody else. And then if, as I said, the FBI do step in with Dylan's case and there are leads, there is progression made, let's say something is found, maybe not for the best, but something is found. Oh, do you know all those people that were following who just pissed off at some point? Oh, they come all running back now, don't they? It's just one of those things. That's probably how it will go. So yeah, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.